Now, I will ask any of you, has anybody have any recording of Akena speaking anything other than UPC?
No.
Have you seen?
No.
Have you heard?
No.
If they had it, would they play it? Yes. They would play it publicly. Yes. Instead, you're getting people from NRM saying, oh, we married, you be married. Where? Where was the wedding?
Akena, the President General of UPC, has come out to deny that he works with General Kaguta Museveni. Akena is the former first son, is the son of the first Prime Minister, I think the second Prime Minister, Milton Obote. He recently came out to say that he's going to run for the presidency of the nation. And for me, I've come in this episode to discuss Akena's presidency in the context of the Ugandan politics. Because first of all, he's the President General of the UPC, one of the founding political parties in this nation. Okay? And the purpose of this video, I've come out to point out the strength and weakness of Akena and how he can go about it, but most importantly, the certain materials we can learn from the politics of our nation. But before I do this, I want to let you know that if you're new to this channel, please subscribe. And if you're watching this video from a different platform, please head on to YouTube, type in Sula Mawagali. There's a lot of content of this nature. If geopolitics and economics is what you want, this will be definitely the right channel for you to subscribe to. First of all, the UPC has taken a long time without being with a presidential candidate. In any political contestation, a party with a presidential candidate has some chances of even winning more members of parliament. In fact, among the very many political parties which have not been with a presidential candidate, it's only UPC which has always been having the most MPs. It is the truth. And away from that, the UPC even has a stronghold. In the Lango sub-region, the UPC is the majority, even in the local councils. So, first of all, Akena has a stronghold. You know, in any political contestation, a presidential candidate must have a stronghold to start with. Because when you have a stronghold, it is where your base is. It is where even if someone comes in your base, he cannot defeat you, so that you can go on and win other areas. So Akena, first of all, has that tag that he works with General Kaguta Museveni because his wife is a minister. Okay? And he's trying to fight that tag. Before I proceed to give you the weaknesses and strength of Akena, let me play with the tape when he was denying this. Here's the tape.
Throughout my politics, I've tried to be decent, I've tried to be sober, and I've tried to engage across party lines. But I get perturbed, and this question came here. There are very many of you with whom I have campaigned at different times. There are very many of you with whom we have done a lot of mobilization for the party. But as we come towards elections, always towards elections, there's a lot of propaganda. Akena this, Akena that, Akena this, Akena. Akena has been in national politics for 20 years in Uganda. And in this digital age, there's always a record. There's always a record. Now, I will ask any of you, has anybody have any recording of Akena speaking anything other than UPC?
No.
Have you seen?
No.
Have you heard?
No.
If they had it, would they play it? Yes. They would play it publicly. Yes. Instead, you're getting people from NRM saying, oh, we married, you be married. Where? Where was the wedding? Whenever we have weddings, we know where it is. We know the process. We know who was spoken to. We know how it was agreed and where it was concluded. Where is the wedding? It has never been. I've always said I'm prepared to engage. But my engagement does not mean I compromise my principles or what I believe in. I am a congressman through and through. As we head towards 2026, there's going to be a lot of questions. And for me, I have put it very clearly. 2026 is going to be a defining year. And this is going to be the year where I am going to make sure that NRM is going to be held in account for all the lives. It has taken a long time. We have moved step by step, but the moment of truth is around the corner. Who is going to deliver the truth if not UPC? For me, it's UPC which will deliver that truth. Because I believe in UPC. I know what UPC has done.
That is Akena. First of all, for I think now 2 elections, that is 2021, 2016, and I think 2011, if I'm not mistaken, the UPC never had a presidential candidate. But it has been containing other political forces in the Lango sub-region. In fact, in the last election, Museveni won the Lango sub-region and BOBI WINE came the next. And with the emergence of Akena, I highly anticipate that Akena will win the Lango sub-region. As a person who wants change, first of all, I want different political contenders who can win their strongholds if they are trying for the presidency. Not like Amuriat. Amuriat, even in the Teso sub-region, was defeated by Museveni, even with BOBI WINE. So his political candidature does not count. When you want to win the presidency, at least you must first win your stronghold. Secondly, the weakness of Akena. 1, UPC is domiciled in Lango sub-region. Even sponsoring candidates in other regions is a problem. For example, in 2021, you would barely see UPC candidates across the country. When I talk about UPC candidates, I mean those who come to contest, not just be in a game. Okay. Thirdly, he has not played well with the central region. I don't want to sound like a regional commentator, but for one to be a front runner in any political contestation, especially for the presidency, you must gather a lot of support. It may not be the best, but gather a lot of support within the capital of that country. I repeat, there is no presidential contender who fails to gather some support from the central of the country. In this case, it's the Uganda region. Akena needs to do a lot of everything, even if it means him to come maybe to Katikiro Charles Peter Mayiga to play politics, because every at least political contender has ever gone there. Museveni has ever been in Ulange, Besigye has ever been, Mpuga and Mama Mbabas has ever been. So I'm not saying that you must get a lot of support, but at least you must get a lot of some support which is visible. And I think he just doesn't want to do that. I normally see him in the western region because UPC was once a dominant force in Kigezi and Kisoro. That's where I see him. Yet he has to do a lot of heavy lifting here in the central. Secondly, it will also somehow very hard to get the support of the entire country when you don't speak the dominant language. These are things which are supposed to be looked at. By the way, whenever I see Akena speak, even in his own area language, speaks in English, I don't want to say that he doesn't speak language, but at least even in your speech you must be able to throw in some Luganda language. That's the truth. Because every presidential contender in Uganda at least knows Luganda. Sometimes they even speak them on rallies. However broken it is, he must learn that, because Luganda is understood by almost 70% of the people. That's the truth. Although we don't have a national language, but Luganda is a dominant language in very many parts of the country that have a lot of votes. So what Akena needs to do is, one, first of all, answer the Luganda question. At least storm Kampala, where you can get a lot, to show that you have a lot of support, even if you are not the first or second, but show that you have a lot of support, because there is no way you can go to the presidency without that seeming support. The reason is why every biggest content of John Kaguta Museveni at least has captured the support of Kampala and the central region. Secondly, how I wish that Akena would make a coalition with the opposition, maybe back BOBI WINE, because BOBI WINE is a front runner, at least he has shown what he has. Imagine if BOBI WINE would go in the Lango sub-region to campaign for Akena, to campaign for UPC candidates, and Akena's campaigns for BOBI WINE in the Lango sub-region. so that we can cut off at least the support which has been having by the regime, because the regime won the Lango sub-region. Okay, so in very many opposition contenders, Akena has one of the extreme weakness, but also has one of the extreme advantage because he has a stronghold. In fact, there is a video I made. I kept on saying that there is no political party that can get support in the entire country. Even in bigger democracies, political parties have strongholds. In Kenya, the previous government of Uhuru Kenyatta, they won the Rift Valley and the Central Kenya. Okay, in the 202, they won Mountain Kenya under Kibaki and Nyanza plus the Western. So it's very fine for a political party not to have a lot of support across the country for as long as it can galvanize most of the support in different regions. And when I look at other political contenders, especially at the presidential level, no one has a stronghold. If I ask you, Mugisha Muntu does not have a stronghold. It's the truth. Mao does not have a stronghold. Muriata does not have a stronghold. Okay. Nadala Mafawi does not have a stronghold. They may have a representation across the country, but not a stronghold. I rather have a stronghold than a representation across the country, because representation can fade out quickly. A stronghold is very hard for you to just strip someone out of his stronghold. That is the weaknesses of other political contenders. Although other political contenders in the opposition have some strength compared to Akena, they can speak other languages, they have representation across the country. So Akena should do a lot of everything in the central, but most importantly, also he has a lot of questions to answer since his wife is in cabinet. Of course, that's my opinion. Do make by commenting about this. Thank you very much for listening in. If this is your first time on YouTube channel, I implore you to subscribe, like, and comment so that I can be motivated to do more of such videos. I'll see you on another one. Peace.
Yes, Kabiye Sulaiman Mawagali. I am putting in my request to fly the NUP flag high in Makinde East constituency, so that I can represent the great people of Makinde East. Nkomyewo omulundi ogwokubiri n'obwongo nga bwesera nga busera. Ebiwandiiko byange mbirese bibino.
Sigadde nze Mr. Makindi Kabiye Sulaiman Mawagali kantu ene guno omukisa okubategeeza mbu ngenda kwesimba okuwa MP Makindi East 2026 nesimbawo lubi era nkomawo bataata bamaama basenga bajjajja okubasaba akalulu. Makindi East ediridde nnyo emabega okumala emyaka 2 okuva omugenzi Sebana we yagenda. Yensonga lwaki buli mukulembeze ajja tumuwayo ekisanja kimu kubanga tukola ensobi. Abakulembeze Makindi East okumala emyaka 15 buli baranking abakulembeze abakozi b'omu parliament abatakyasinze kwogera babeera mu abiri abasemba. Ebyo bintu birina okwogerwa. Twetaaga omukulembeze ng'alina obwongo nga bwesera nga busera. Twetaaga omukulembeze nga fighter, si bano bajooka. Bw'oba ng'ogenda tusaabalira ku mazzi ne baleeta eryato ly'ebbumba ne baleeta ne speed boat, tosobola kukwata lyato lya bbumba ogenda osaabale kubanga lijja kunywa amazzi obbire bassebo ne bannyabo. Oba olina kulondawo speed boat efubutuka kaweewo ekusomese mangu. Nze Kabuye Sulaiman Mawagali, nze speed boat. Bannaye munonde muninnye nsooke mbasaabaze ku speed ey'ekizungirizi. Eddoboozi lyaffe libadde teriwulirwa. Kyekiseera mu 2026 mulonde nze kamwa kwogera Kabuye Sulaiman Mawagali ayina eddoboozi eryamwanguka ajoyimirira ku parliament alyange ensonga mu beesimbyewo bonna bassebo ne bannyabo teryansinga kwandya nsonga. Abaneesimbyeko bonna baneegomba olw'engeri gye njogeramu, olw'engeri gye nnambika ensonga. Gw'oba okiwakana, eno YouTube yange sooka ogiraba, ogifollowing, ogisharing, olayo ne vidiyo eziriko engeri gye nnambika ensonga. Kubamu akafaananyi nga ndi ku floor ya Parliament nga ngamba Mr. Speaker sa oba Madam Speaker sa, waliwo asobola okugaana okuwulira. So mu 2026 tetukola era ne mulonda omulala atali Kabuye Sulaiman Mawagali. Musibe bulungi, mweraba. Peace.
Mpala na wala kusaba kimuze mpala na bulungi wadi abampala no bulungi nange benjagala obulungi.